Okay, so let's get in and start to divide these muscles up. First thing I want to do is remember my groups, right? I mean, we've gone over this, but quadriceps, okay? Hamstrings, adductors, and the muscles that are there. Rectus femoris, vastus lateralis for the outside, medialis for the inside. Hamstrings along the back are going to be bicep femoris, okay, and then the semi-membranosus, tendinosus, and then a whole bunch of adductors. Now the adductors are deep. You're not going to really see much more than I think the adductor, not the magnus, maybe the adductor magnus. So let's start with separating these guys out. And the big divider between the adductors and the quadriceps is that the sartorius. So I'm going to come in and just find the sartorius. Now, a really easy thing to remember, if you think about the knee as a cube, the sartorius is not going to go in front of that half. It's coming back and then it'll move over. But leave at least half of that knee visible and accessible. This little bump you're seeing right here, what would that be? Or this bump down here? Looks to me like that is the femur and the tibia. So these are the actual bones heading up there. So I need the sartorius to be in the back half and really leave room for that tibia. It's actually even more further back. There we go. Okay, nice clean division, but it's a good division. You know, really important, because if it's not in the right place, it can really start to throw you off. In fact, I'm going to be really clear because I want to make sure I have room. I want to make sure I have the room set correctly. All right. Okay, we got that. And then on the other side, the quadriceps, the vastus lateralis, heading in to the patella. Okay, so now that we've got that part separated, I'm going to define the quadriceps a little bit more. So I'm just defining the vastus lateralis here, and then in order to define the upper part of the vastus lateralis, I need to really define the rectus femoris. Okay. Oop, that's pushed back quite far. Okay. Leave a little bit of room in there for the rectus femoris. I'm looking for where that form dips. That's going to be my separation between the rectus femoris and the vastus medialis. And then don't forget that the rectus femoris is inserting in the anterior inferior iliac spine. Remember, that's going to be different than everything else. Great trochanter, great trochanter. Okay. So I'm going to just put that little indicator in there. And you can really tell because the form starts to level off. As it starts to head in there. And then just bisect it. There we go. Cool. Got that. Let's just get a little indicator for the quadricep. Just using the fibers to create some directionality. Okay, got to be careful because we've got the iliotibial band, and this is very obvious in all reference books, but you don't always see it on the model, and in this case we're not really seeing it on the model. But we need to know where this thing is inserting. So we have to go back and look at this knee, and remember there's two bumps that we need to be concerned with that aren't necessarily the femur or the tibia. So we know that we have a bicep femoris, the short head. This is this really big, bulky thing coming down to the head of that fibula. On the inside of that, we're going to have another string, another place, heading right to the, well, it's the side. In fact, let's look here. It's the side, but the front side of the tibia. Forward side, interior side. Okay, and we're going to come straight up. And in fact, I'm going to look at the model from this direction to get it. Okay. There. So that'll be that iliotibial band. We may want to paint out some of those lines. Okay. And get the directionality of that vastus lateralis. Okay, the muscle fibers coming from that femur and down. So, if you want, you can start to get some of that directionality. And in fact, there we go. Let's cut that off and get the other side. We're going to need this because the directionality is going to require me to be a little more robust. So making sure I get that little S curve. Okay, invert. Do I need to do anything with that iliotibial band? Do I want to establish any directionality? We did mention that directionality is going down. You know, it doesn't hurt to establish a little bit of that, but in really broad strokes. Nothing too major. Alright, so that's vastus lateralis. The rest of these guys need coloring. This has the same directionality as the vastus lateralis. It's coming from the femur towards the front. So that just changes our dynamic a little bit. And of course, we want to know this because it's reinforcing the origin and the insertion. Alright, rectus femoris. Oh. Okay. All right. We've done hamstrings. We're at 10 minutes. Okay, you didn't need to see me do all of that, but it's good to see most of it. Really important part is the outlines that we have. Okay, quadriceps from everything else is really what we have. So let's get in here and start thinking about what's happening in the inside of the thigh, because that's what really one of the things that's going to help define the rest of it. So let's put the sartorius in. Okay, and I'm going to put it in with pretty much a uniform thickness. Okay, and then the gracilis is going to be coming from that. So I'm going to put this back line in and then pull up because of the way that its size changes into more of a tendon. See where that happens? Okay, and then I want to put a little notch in and show you where we're going to see the adductor magnus, how much of that's going to show up. And it's not going to be hard to remember. This is a diagram that you're going to want to put in your mind. See this little sliver? Just put that same sliver on the other side. Okay. This is going to be the adductor magnus. Okay, so when you know that, when you have that kind of Y shape with the gracilis running down the middle of it, then you know a couple of other things. You know that below here, this is all going to be semimembranosus. Okay, and that's the other hamstring. Then you know that you're going to get semitendinosus and the tendon for tendinosus right there. All right. So I'm going to pull tendinosus. And about halfway, a little bit below halfway, I'm going to pull that tendon out. And I'm going to merge the tendon in with the gracilis. Well, not merge, sorry. I'm going to put it down next to it. Okay, then the semimembranosus is going to have its tendon. Let's make this really clear. There we go. And that takes us up to the semimembranosus and to the hamstrings. So I'm going to separate these guys. And what I'm really looking for here is this change in planes, this strap that goes up the sides. That strap is really important because it really helps tell you where the hamstrings are splitting onto either side. And then that's going to help you understand how the bicep femoris and the semimembranosus and tendinosus are reaching to either side of the gastrocnemius, which then just slides right in between. I'll emphasize these lines. This is going to be a lot of red for you. But those are the different groups that we're concerned about. I'm going to move the long head a little bit. And then we just got directionality to deal with, really. I mean, I might come in and say I'm not quite sure about that. Okay, just give that sartorius some directionality. I don't need to give it a lot. Gracilis. Okay, the semitendinosus. And where that really veers more into a tendon. Okay, the adductor magnus. And let's really make that clear. And then the semimembranosus, but I'm really having to make some lines clear, very clear. This is what I really love about this brush. Pen A, just a beautiful brush. Whoops, I saw that coming. Okay, bicep femur. It's kind of heading straight down, right? Till it meets up with that short head. And then the fibers are moving in different directions when you get to the short head. And you got to think about insertion and origin of where that one's coming from. So in terms of the long head, we know that the long head is coming from the ischial spines up here, part of the pelvic area, and they're just right off of it, basically. But in terms of the short head, it's a different deal because it's connecting to the femur. So what it's doing is moving in this direction. Okay, just a different arrangement. It's moving really from the femur, let's say, to this tendon. So let's define this tendon that's going to go from the long head to the fibula. Get that really nice and clean, and it's going to connect to the back of the fibula. And then long head and the muscle fibers for that. Okay, looking good. We're on our way. Got more stuff to do, so let's do the calves in another section.